Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Operation Grow Show, Season 6, episode. Oh, I was going to fuck this one up yet again. I think it's episode 4. There we go. Today's episode is titled Love of Landrace, because that's who we've got on the show today, joining us all the way from my old home country, South Africa. We've got Ryan on, who just off the top, we'll post the link to your Instagram there, but it's at Love of
Awesome. Thanks.
Landrace, I believe. So do give him a follow and jump in. But yeah, joining us all the way from South Africa. And thank you for staying up. I know it's late over there.
No problem.
Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, without further ado, we've got a couple more people jumping in. Yeah, why don't you give us just a quick introduction, a little bit about who you are, and then yeah, we'll just get into the general flow of things.
Cool. So my name's Ryan. I'm obviously Love of Landrace. I was born in Hillcrest in Durban. Recently, I've just moved down to Cape Town. But basically, what I do is I'll travel around. I've done a lot of the South African fields, Transkei, all that kind of stuff. Moving off into Swaziland, Lesotho, and a bunch of other neighboring countries, just looking for all our old school genetics, all our land races, all our heirloom strains, and then basically bringing them back into preservation.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think it's a topic that's very close to a lot of people on the show. And then who else? Everybody else who's joined us. Lefty, Lefty's Farm has joined us. We've also got Magma, and we've got GMF. Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Cheers. Excellent. Cheers off. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Ryan, for coming on and hanging out and letting us pick your brain, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Awesome.
So yeah, like one of the things we were talking about just before the show started was, I think South Africa is actually a bit of a unique situation. I mean, look, I left South Africa many years ago, over 20 years ago now. I think it's a lot, but it was when I left, and I haven't been back particularly often. But during that time, the scene over there has changed quite dramatically. It's gone from, if you got caught with, a stompie of dacha on you, you were in some serious shit, to
For sure.
It's now in the constitution that essentially you can grow at home and nobody can bug you for it. My understanding is, so long as you're growing at home on your own property and you consume it on your property, there's essentially fuck all that they can do. I mean, that might be an oversimplification of it.
That is correct in some senses. Where in 2018, South Africa decriminalized it. They did not make it legal. They have not. So basically, they haven't fully legalized it, but they have given guidelines as to what you can and can't do, of amounts. But everything's it's a gray area, where growers are still getting arrested. They're not getting charged, but they are still having their grows are completely eradicated. People are still getting arrested, no one getting sentenced, unless obviously you got in high volumes. Then that's when you actually are going to get into trouble. But I mean, the rule of thumb now is if you can prove that it is for personal consumption, nothing packed into small little bankies and weighed out.
Yeah, no, officer. Look, the 4 kilos over here is my. Oh, do I have to prove it to you? All right.
Oh, shit. This whole thing in front of you.
Exactly.
So you get out a newspaper and tell them it's your rolling paper.
Yeah. So now they say that you can have like a 4 plants per person per household. So now you're seeing a lot of communes growing up where these guys are literally having fields now. So there's always a loophole. Like, I mean, there's grow shops jumping up all over the show where they won't sell bud to you, but they are giving you free samples on purchases of stuff. So yeah, it's
a 200 rand t-shirt and a free ounce.
Something
basically
like
what Washington DC does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
so there's loopholes around everything. I mean, people are getting very clever about it, and also, I mean, there's many lawyers jumping involved, like they'll actually fight cases and all that kind of stuff to legalize it. There's big marches happening in South Africa now to actually legalize it as well. And then everything was going great. I don't know if you saw, guys, recently where they locked up the king of the Khoisan.
Yeah. That was it. That was quite interesting to watch. It's like,
and now they've opened up a big can of worms. So I'm hoping that things get done very quickly to rectify that. I'll say they're in a lot of
what
trouble.
Happened? For all of us who aren't South African?
Yeah, so basically the Khoisan are the natives to South Africa. They were the ones that were here before anybody else, before the Zulus, before anybody, like the proper Bushmen. And they have got rights to the land where they can basically harvest everything in the mountains, wild garlic, all that kind of stuff. Like basically cultivate whatever they want to cultivate and harvest whatever they want to harvest. So now they got given a piece of land outside the Parliament building, where they were growing their veggies, and they had 3 ganja bushes there. And they've been there for years. And now next thing, the police just decided, okay, we're going to raid the Parliament building, and carted the king of the Khoisan away, which has every right to do what he's doing. And he was still under their legal limits, but they still locked him up. So it's opened a little bit of a wound here in South Africa, where there's big protests being planned for this now, saying why decriminalize it when you still locking up the traditional healers and all the people that are actually doing good and not for recreational. They are actually medicating people. There's a big fight. There's a big fight going on with that. So we're going to see what's going to be happening with that. But yeah, all the activists are jumping aboard, and so I'm hoping things are going to start changing soon.
I mean, it comes on to a good point. You're talking about like the traditional healers and that in South Africa, for who, well, not just in South Africa, but I mean like across the board, but like in South Africa in particular, the traditional healers who've been using Sangomas, not so much Tagat, but definitely the Sangomas have been using, cannabis for a very long time with the scene, but they've been using local strains. And it was interesting. It was something that came up. I don't know if you've seen it, the most recent Strain Hunters South Africa thing.
The Pondoland.
Yeah. Where the one guy was saying, his concern is these foreign genetics, they might be, you read between the lines of they might be good for this recreational and from a commercial perspective, yes, but we don't know if it's going to work from a medicinal perspective. And in your most recent travels going through up through Lesotho, Transkei and KwaZulu-Natal, is that something that you encountered when you were talking with the locals? What are you seeing over there? What do you see happening in terms of?
As I said, with in 2018, South Africa decriminalized cannabis. So now, as I said, grow shops were jumping up. So now people in South Africa, all the smokers, the stoners in South Africa, they've been smoking land races literally before 2018. So now these guys aren't wanting to puff on a Durban Poison or Rooibos or all that kind of the Swazi Golds. They're all wanting the Exodus cheese, like as they said on the Strain Hunters. They're wanting the Gorilla Glues, the cookies, all the exotic genetics. So now people are jumping in. The grow shops are supplying European genetics, and it's coming on. So now people are wanting the whole bag appeal. Like this is the main problem with these local farmers, where they have been growing landrace strains for the last 3 generations, 4 generations, but now they're not able to sell any of their bud because people are wanting that whole bag appeal, that all solid, this dense snags instead of the our typical land races. So that is quickly becoming what we're dealing with. Are literally going out and they actually buying all the European genetics, which are now pollinating all our local landrace strains, which is sad. I mean, all these commercial strains. I mean, look, everybody loves to smoke a Gorilla Glue or whatever it is, or whatever tickles your fancy. But I mean, it's been bred out. All the medicinal properties have been actually bred out of there to produce a higher THC content. And now with the countries actually opening up and making it more, how can I put it, more socially acceptable, we're going to have to actually get back to the landrace strains to get that certain flavor that you want and a certain effect that you're wanting, and the certain effect of medical health that you wanting to do. Like, instead of just getting high, people are actually wanting to use the plant for exactly what it actually was made for. It also, like, in terms of breeding, I mean, it's opening up a whole new gene pool of strains that was once lost and was once created certain famous strains. With more understanding now, we can still work at a higher level than that big trick that the American hippies did. So very little understanding back then now, and now we got some amazing breeders. So like getting in with the land races definitely is gonna push a little too off some of the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Because I mean, it is interesting, you know, like everybody over there wanting to have like the dense buds, and then you go, mate, you know, it's not the climate for this. It's just not going to work, man. You know, you show somebody what the average humidity is for Durban as an example, and it's 70%. So okay, cool.
We're sitting at like 86%. Yeah, so like if you're gonna get any bud from Durban, you know for a fact that it's got powdery mildew all over it, and it is not being cured at all, right? So now these guys, what they were smoking some amazing bud like back then. Because people don't actually understand as well, it's not only to do with the THC, it's also got to do with the terpene profiles that actually give you the commercial strains don't actually have. I mean, smoke land races where, like, for about 2 hours, or with yeah.
So it broke up a little bit there, but this trip you did, I'm sure you got to get some interesting photographs while you on your travels.
I did.
Let's see if we can figure out how to do. If you're able to share one or two, that would be fantastic. Let's see if we can get this to work. We did a little trial run over there.
Well, and it immediately like just makes me think, okay, like you've talked, Pete, about some of the ones that you've taught us about. So your Durban poison, your Transkei, your Rhubarb. But I'm curious, like how many have you come across, Ryan? Like how many land races are we talking about?
So now I've done Swaziland. Is it working? I think I'm trying to swap through my codes.
There we go.
So now my first landrace strain that I actually came across was our KwaZulu landrace. And so now there's an awesome history around the sorry, I'm taking so long. I'm trying to work this bloody thing out.
That's okay. No worries.
But there's an awesome history around the KwaZulu landrace strain with the guys that invaded Africa when the big Zulu war. But here's one of the Sotho Haas here. but yeah, the KwaZulu was smoked by the Zulu warriors in the invasion. So they use it for the energetics. Obviously, it's a pure sativa.
Wow.
So they used it for. Now it's not ready. There you go. So use it for the
Oh, hang on, it's breaking up a bit.
the pain relief. And people are saying, well, how can it give you pain relief? And when tested, it's showing that it's quite high in CBD and CBG. So, as I said, all these new
Hang on, I think what might work. Hang on, here we go. Right, yeah, let's have a look and see.
Yeah, I can
It's
hear you
breaking
now.
up. Yeah, it's breaking up a bit. It's oh, cool. So that too. Let's leave it on this.
Wow.
Where's this picture taken?
This was taken in KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
This is a huge field that we came across. And now, if you look at the dark green section there, that is actually a branch of a tree. So I was probably about 3 meters off the ground, and taking that photo literally in a tree. Let me stop sharing this one and show you a few more of the
Wow, that's
ones there.
And these are uncultivated fields, right? These are just natural occurring.
These are
Nothing's cultivated.
Nothing's cultivated.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a few there that not in these photos, but I mean the other places that I do go is fully cultivated. But this in particular is a wild field. You can see here, you can see the size of it, and you can bear in mind that I'm 6'1", so not a small person, but you can see the size of these trees. Is it shared there? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just popped up now. Yeah. It'll take a few seconds. Those aren't short. Yeah. So now remember, people, when growing local land races, to have enough headroom for the stretch. That's a pretty serious. Very nice.
Like at that size too, and that kind of morphology, like I think, especially being from the United States, it wouldn't even really recognize the people as cannabis. It looks more like bamboo or something. That's crazy.
Yeah. It does have more of that almost like a hemp sort of look to it, as opposed to what we would consider. But yeah, this is the kind of crazy stuff. Oh dear, it looks. Unfortunately, well, I'm sure he'll be back. It's the transatlantic and dealing with South African telecommunications infrastructure.
It's still totally worth it to see the pictures and get the information. Totally worth it.
He's back. Oh, let's see. Hopefully, let's see. Hey, Ryan. But anyway, I'm yabbering away. Anybody else got any other questions left?
Yeah.
Whoop. All right. Yeah. Sounds like you're back now. Yep. Good old South African telco to deal with. Oh, sounds like it might be breaking up again. Oh dear. But yeah, how the rest of you guys doing? Magma?
Oh, good. Thanks.
Hello?
Good. Just enjoying listening in.
Yeah, Ryan, we can hear you there.
Okay, I'm back. I don't know what the hell happened there.
It's a combination of I think just the geography involved here.
Yeah, the whole.
Yeah.
whole international
fortunate.
thing.
Yeah, we're just fortunate to be able to do this. Of course, there's going to be hiccups, but we're just fortunate to be able to have these
For
conversations.
sure.
So
Hey,
It's
Hello.
awesome. Yeah. It's
In that
awesome
field,
talking
where they
with like-minded guys.
are the plants are the like when they grow those landrace strains and cultivate them and they plant them more spread out? Do they still get that same stretch, or is that because they're really densely seeded?
So now let me show you a picture of which will answer your question there, with the actual plant that had been looked after and that was left to its own.
Yeah,
Where
and
is
one of the
it?
questions in chat was, does that have like those big tall ones? Is it primarily, I guess, just one long big bud at the top, or is it fairly branched and buddy? Okay, yeah, wow. Those are not small plants. Jesus.
So now those ones in particular that are so close together, those ones will be one main coda. It's basically like a nature's way of scrogging, kind of like that kind of. This is one big canopy, but where if it's planted to the side, obviously then the Christmas tree whole shape is going to actually come out of it.
And you were saying you're 6'1", yeah?
6'1", yeah.
So that's a pretty tall plant if you're not on your knees.
No, I'm definitely not a bunny. But let me show you this now. This is a pheno of the KwaZulu that I found.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Pretty.
you can check those.
Those are some
Those
seriously
very
thin little leaves.
needle leads.
Yeah. Mm.
So I managed to find that pheno, which was great. I have reproduced it since then, and I've actually got the seeds here. What about 17,000?
I'm sure. I know a few people who would be interested in some interesting landrace genetics. That's for sure.
How is the aroma on those?
So now with the KwaZulu, it's more of it's like a very piney kind of piney, peppery, spicy kind of malted.
Yeah.
Mm.
You think it's close to the Malawi?
So now, in my experience, the Malawi is more spicy with like a very tinge of passion fruit. Like all the Malawi cobs that we were smoking back in the day had a very very prominent fruity taste, but also like a peppery kind of taste.
Yeah.
So now, taste-wise, the Malawi beats the shit out of. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Absolutely, you are.
God damn it, no fucking swearing.
But it beats the hell out of the Malawi. I mean, the Malawi beats the hell out of the KwaZulu taste-wise, but KwaZulu beats the hell out of Malawi with effects.
That's nice.
Now this would be interesting. I mean, okay, so how do you distinguish the difference between, like, you calling it, was it KwaZulu Natal?
Yeah.
Bud or Durban poison? Because I mean, Durban being, it's the city. KwaZulu Natal is a very large area.
For sure.
So that's interesting. Well, at least for me it is. What makes is Durban or the Durban poison just a very specific phenotype of that general strain lot that got picked out? Because the one thing I've noticed is no Durban poison I've seen outside of Durban looks like Durban poison. Like, that's not it. It's so not what it's supposed to look like. But it all smells right. That's the crazy thing. I mean, I've been over in Colorado where a friend of mine is.
It doesn't, and that's the argument. And I've had. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
so now, like, first of all, Durban poison. Yeah, carry on.
I mean, I'm going over to Colorado, and a friend of mine there, as I walked in the room, he just hit a dab of Durban poison, and you could smell it straight away. It's like, I know what that is. It doesn't look like it. The plants don't look like it, but it's got the terpene profile. you know, that as you inhale and exhale out your nose, all you want to do is sneeze because it's like that pepper through your nose. Oh,
touch on this with the past interviews on my Instagram.
mhm.
But basically, what I was saying is that Africa has got only sativas. So now, where are they pulling on?
What I'm going to do, Ryan, I'm just going to stop your video because I think that will make the audio.
70% indica. So that's my debate there. But
Yeah. No, I know, I agree. Hello. I don't know. Oh, if you lost me again. I just paused your video so that might make the audio better if you can hear you. I'm sure he'll come back. How things on the farm, Lefty?
I'm doing good, man. Washed some hash this week. Made some
Yeah.
temple balls.
I saw that. They looked impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Had a nice fucking cold day earlier this week where I could take all my washing stuff outside. So I made up a nice batch and got that done. Plants are looking great. They're in week 8. Look like we'll probably be somewhere around like 63, 65 days for harvest on most everything. So about another week and a half on those. They're starting to show a little bit of color. So, you know,
Nice.
coming on, but yeah, everything's going good here, man. Can't complain about anything.
Good man. Good man. Yeah. And how long did it take you? So now those temple balls, but you're going to put those in the, those going to be mature for a while now, are they?
Yeah, I like them to cure for a bit. You know, usually at least like 4 months. You know, about that's usually about the earliest. I like to crack them open.
Yeah.
But and they'll start to, you know, aged out, matured, start to get some different fucking aromas coming out of them and stuff like that. But yeah, I try to keep a few of them around, so you know, I always have one to crack into.
Yeah, the fact that you can actually that you've got enough patience and enough self-control to wait the 4 months is impressive, dude.
Yeah, luckily I got a couple of backups here, so it isn't so tempting anymore.
Yeah, it's like the weed cures in the jar. The stuff at the bottom is cured by the time I get there.
There you go, man. Yep. Yep.
You doing that French cannoli style?
What's that?
You're making the temple balls like French cannoli style?
Yeah, I hand press everything out. Yeah, everything's pretty much done by hand. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
How long time you use per ball?
I like to usually let it cure for at least like 3-4 months.
Yeah, but when
That's
you press
crazy.
it, you spend any time pressing it, or you just leave it like closed?
What do you mean pressing it?
Yeah, no, like have you seen when Frenchie dries the hash and then he kind of does like a hot wine bottle to press it into a ball?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I do like the complete Frenchie style, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's another one. I mean, that was never something that was particularly popular at all when I was living there, was hash. Is that starting to make a bit of an appearance over there, Ryan?
Well, not really. Hash came in for a bit. It just became dab.
Okay, yeah, straight to dabs.
Yeah, so rosin has taken over in a big way here. People are loving it. Personally, I can't smoke it. It's a little bit too rough for me. But yeah, the hash came in for maybe about a month, and then it disappeared as quickly as it really came in.
And it's crazy because you've actually got, I mean, it's the kind of place where you can grow enough of it to be able to make good hash quite comfortably. You know, you've got a lot of product that you can do it with.
Yeah.
And
Well,
especially
I've
just, you
seen
know, when
some
we were
of the,
talking earlier where there's no bag appeal, really, this is the answer to, you know,
for
turn
sure.
the
But
not so
some
great
guys
looking.
turning that into dab though. Like, I mean, I've seen
Mm.
rural fucking farmers, bro, hitting bloody dab rigs and they're like, oh, bloody McGarvin dab rigs.
Jesus.
So I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, so like now some of these guys that are in the rural areas, they're actually collecting keef, and so they'll even be selling like scissor hash and all that kind of stuff. But it's weird. I've only observed that in the Transkei,
Okay.
where
I tell you
they
what,
are doing that.
Ryan, let's just try this. Just to see if we can get the audio to come through a little bit clearer. If you pause the video from your side, it might just make the audio come through a bit smoother.
Okay, so hold
We'll just
on.
give that a give.
Okay,
There we go.
how's it now?
Yeah, you're still there. We'll see how it goes. I just got one of my
Okay.
guys in chat saying that it might work a bit better if the video's off.
Awesome.
It'll save you some bandwidth as well.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think everybody in the street caught the bit earlier where we were talking about, you know, like the history of the KwaZulu Natal landrace strain coming through, being brought down. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It got brought with when the Zulus were moving south, so they brought it with them.
Well, so now the obviously King Shaka led the Zulus into battle. Now there's urban legends about the strain and also actual archaeological findings of pipes and all that kind of stuff in the battlefield, like in the bases, where they have observed the guys smoking the KwaZulu landrace pure sativa, and it was for the energy, the clear mind, and then obviously the pain relief. So people are like, well, why is there pain relief? Actually tested the button. It shows that it is high in CBD and possibly CBG. The guys do want to do more of a detailed test on the strain, and that's what I'm going to be hopefully starting to do now as well with a bunch of the African sativas. Actually start testing them and actually seeing what they have to offer into the whole industry. But getting back to that question you had about the Durban poison and the KwaZulu. First of all, I mean, like, there's so many rumors about the Durban poison strain, where people will say it is KwaZulu, but the terpene profile doesn't match. But one of the rumors that were going around that, to me, in my personal opinion, is the most believable, is when it came out with the Indians, when they were bought into the slave trade to cut cane. Saying that sativas were thrown down there and mixed in with our KwaZulu strains, creating Durban poison, the peppery, piney, kind of dirty taste, where the KwaZulu will be spicy, but you'll find it more inland, so like Midlands, Drakensberg, all like higher altitudes than coastal. So obviously, like, I mean, the structure is completely different as well of the Durban poison and the KwaZulu. The KwaZulu is more of a crisp, controlled kind of grow to it, whereas the Durban poison original sativa, it grows probably about 4 meters high, but probably about 2.5 meters wide, where our European genetics will be having a thick purple bud, whereas the Durban poison that I've observed and smoked, obviously growing up, coming from, had purple trichomes.
Yeah,
the differences are.
We never got dense bud growing up. That was never a thing. No.
Never. Yeah. If you did, you thought there was something wrong and you thought there was mandrax in it.
Yeah, where's the pips, bro? This isn't weed you
Yeah.
sold me. Take it
bro.
away.
I don't do drugs. Sorry, and you throw the shit away, bro.
And for anyone out there who doesn't know what Mandrax is, it's a Quaalude. South Africa is the only place where the precursors are still legal, so they still have them there. In case anyone wants to take a field trip.
And they don't eat them. They smoke them.
Yeah,
The only country in the world that smokes sleeping tablets. Woohoo!
yeah.
Like
It's the first country to do a couple of things. We aren't going to get onto that on a cannabis podcast.
very true.
But yeah, getting back to the whole Lesotho land race, what we're talking about. The reason I went up that side, now obviously you coming from South Africa know a little. I'm sure you know a little bit about Lesotho. For those of you who don't, it's 2,500 meters above sea level. I came in from the Sani Pass side, which was the farm we were doing there was 2,850 meters above sea level. In winter, that place is literally knee deep in snow, and obviously that's when the cannabis plants are at peak flower. So it's a very strong, very
I'm just
strong.
putting up on the screen so geographically people can see where we're talking about.
That tripped me out a lot.
There's Lesotho, there's
That's it.
Durban,
Yeah,
and Sani Pass is over here somewhere. If I'm not mistaken.
correct. Yeah.
And
So
this
we
is
went
high
from there.
mountains.
Yeah, it's very high, and there's a lot of very rocky, very sandy. So I mean, like the plants, there was like we were there, and it wasn't flowering, but it was vegging, and the plants were huge. And I mean, the state of the soils that side, and just the overall conditions of mountainous areas, like the winds, the random bitty thunderstorms, the knee deep in snow in winter, and these strains still stand strong. So we're very, very happy we managed to get a matchbox, a half a matchbox of Sutsuha's seeds from these guys that have been making their own seeds, obviously just shaking males, and so they got the whole genetic diversity of the Sutsuha's landrace, where they've got maybe 100 males onto 1,000 female farm, and they just shake these trees, and then they will harvest those seeds at the end and use those the following season. So I got a matchbox full of those from a guy.
Very nice.
But yeah, which was awesome. So now we're going to be doing a big grow of that, where I'm going to be planting about 60 plants, also open pollination, and just get the whole genetic diversity, and hoping to find some gems.
And so did you travel up through, I mean, Transkei was always known for Transkei Reds, which is probably that's just south of
and
Durban.
they're also known for the Pondo, the Pondo land race strain, which is also a beautiful sativa.
And that's specifically when it only grows in the up the Pondo Valley, pretty much in that area. Yeah.
They'll only grow there along that river.
Yeah, they were showing some of that on that greenhouse seeds. I mean, like root structure where the root goes that deep and that's it.
and you got like a 3-meter plant coming up from above that.
And it lives on the morning dew. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane, bro. I mean, everything about land races, it just defeats all the laws of physics. Of where plants should survive or shouldn't survive, and they do.
What about down in the Cape area? Are there? Is that neck of the woods sort of come on? No, Transkei is not the Cape. I mean, it's Transkei, but I don't remember. Yeah, I don't really remember much from like down in Cape Town, like West, but then I wasn't there at that sort of age. But I found it difficult when I was visiting school weed in Cape Town. It wasn't easy.
Yeah,
Durban was a
well,
piece
bro,
of
now
piss, man.
you
Every petrol station. But back then,
now you can pick up weed from Checkers, yeah, bro. You go into
and I mean, is there a landrace strain down in the Western Cape?
no, it is not. The only one that there is, you'll find that in the Tron.
Oh, you're breaking up again. Oh no, we've used up the quota for Africa.
Sky in obviously in the Eastern Cape, you'll get the KwaZulu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's coming through now. Yeah, you're back.
Hello.
Hello, yeah,
Hello.
you're back.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Having said that, you disappear again. Oh dear God, it's not the best. Oh, and then he's dropped off altogether again. Trying to think,
Hey,
can
it's
I
what
find
happens
a-
when you try to collect information from the far-flung corners of the globe.
Yeah, actually, it would be interesting to chat when he does come back. I think another good question would be around the cobs, given what you've been doing, GMF.
I won't say no.
Yeah, you're back. Actually, Ryan, you touched on this a bit earlier, talking about the Malawi cob, and that was oddly something that we took a bit of a dive into. What, about a year ago, almost over a year ago now, isn't it, GMF? That you took quite a deep dive into. You know, it was interesting to see people making Malawi cob outside of Malawi and not doing it rolled up in and shoved in the ground. And but that was always prized when we could get hold of that. That was always like the one to look out for. If somebody had some, like, yeah, no, we'll grab some of that. Thank you.
Fermented cure is something different, though.
Well, and that's funny because once Pete introduced it to us, I ferment cure something of just about everything I harvest. And I've been working through different temperature profiles and times to try to figure out how to actually pick it apart.
That's very interesting, right?
And got it down to quite an
art,
quite a quick process as well. It's not how long it takes them to do it out in the wild.
Oh yeah, you can get it down to a week and have a fully fermented cob. You can actually, depending on the protocols you run, I've got it done in a couple days.
Man, that is insane.
Yeah, and then I actually got some of it lab tested.
And what did it taste?
Well, I mean, I compared it side by side to a sample of fermented versus unfermented, and it seems like it does go through an activation process or a decarboxylation process. So that's number one. So you do get a significant amount of decarboxylation, but it seems like the other thing that happens is the terpene profile changes considerably. So it like you're talking about that fruitiness. What I noticed trying a few different strains and putting them through fermentation protocols is whatever flavor you start with, it kind of intensifies. So if you've got like a little bit of lime, by the time you ferment it, you'll get almost an overly ripe lime smell. Or same thing with like spices, it kind of pushes them to be more intense smells. So it's a fun process.
And definitely came across as being a really interesting way of, you know, in a high humidity scenario, how do you cure and dry your weed? And doing it this way was super interesting because one method, I mean, how much did you squeeze into a tiny little jar straight off the bud? I mean, straight off the branch of everything, just compress it into
it was like
a jar.
70 grams or something. I squeezed into a, and well, that's what I did. I took to my first runs to mimic the cob. I took fresh cannabis and This was PCK by Superdog, so Pakistani Chitral Kush by Superdog. But I've also done it with an indica strain, Deep Chunk, which is a long worked indica strain. I've done that. Well, I shouldn't say indica. It's a long worked strain, but it's very much the opposite of what you would typically find in South Africa, and it works on any kind of cannabis, which kind of leads me to a few different conclusions about how it's working. But yeah, it'll work on anything, and it's a really different kind of flavor and a different kind of approach to it. And even that little bit of decarboxylation allows you to put it in a beverage or something like that and
Yeah,
actually get a more edible effect from it too.
very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be glad to share it with you. It's fun stuff, but I think the real fun part is then say you've got a plant coming along and you want to harvest, you say you've got something you need and you're running out and you want something to smoke right away. Well, you can clip something off a week or two early, put it through fermentation. You'll push the rest of it through that maturation process, kind of using heat. So it's kind of weird, but I've done that a few times too. So you could actually harvest at different times and put it through fermentation and get it decarboxylated and ready to go. Now the crystals, they tend to turn, like yellow or amber. It's really fun, but and thanks a lot to people like you and Pete, being willing to share kind of landrace knowledge and landrace lore with idiots like me who aren't scared to try things and waste product. So, thank you very much.
No problem.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. How's it going, guys? Sorry, I'm
All
part
good,
of the
man.
party.
What's
All
up?
right.
Just came out from my plant native class, so that was cool. Really cool professor. He actually owns the nursery, Tree of Life Nursery, and that's the biggest California plant native west of the Mississippi. And yeah, so he teaches there, and it's really cool. We're gonna have a couple of our classes at the nursery, and the rest of the classes are gonna be field trips to on-site locations. So we're gonna be going like to coastal regions, we're going more inland, we're going to desert regions, we're going to more grassland regions. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited. I'll make sure to take lots of pictures and videos for everyone.
And no more rolling in poison oak, yeah?
Yeah, right. Now, it's funny you mentioned that, Raptor, because that's exactly what our guest has kind of been doing today, is taking us through the different travels that he's had through South Africa, kind of explaining the different things he's come across. Pretty interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, it's important to have people like you to really break everything down and get in a in-person view of everything, like your own POV of just how these things grow, what the areas look like, what kind of weather conditions they go through. All that plays into the genetics as well.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, that is an interesting one. Like the weather, it certainly plays a big part. And I'm surprised how some of the European strains, how do they actually do over there? Because there's got to be some very specific areas where they have to be grown because they just won't.
No, so now they actually do very well. As you said earlier, I mean, Durban, you're looking at 70 to 80% humidity. So the European genetics are doing well here, growing wise, but are getting hit badly with bud rot and obviously powdery mildew. So a lot of people are just growing indoor now instead of growing. I mean, the plants thrive in Cape Town.
Yeah, the Mediterranean climate. Yeah,
there's no humidity. Yeah, where there's no heat and it's just longer light hours, all that kind of stuff. They grow after what they have.
Oh, I think we lost you there. I mean, one of the areas where I'm surprised they're not going, it would be like going indoors, well, not indoors, inland from the Cape, just moving slightly inland where it's desert regions, and you're thinking,
Fix the powdery rainy season.
I think there was a little bit of disconnect there.
Okay, well,
But yeah, I mean, like, if you think like the Karoo and that, I mean, that almost you could like just move everything into the Karoo, big glass houses.
Yeah. And people are doing it. There's a big grow going on now in Kimberley in Northern Cape. And that is
Okay.
full on desert as well. But they've got big greenhouses going there, and they're doing a CBD hemp.
Okay. So nou
and
is er
they
een groot dag
doing
Well, Kimberley is known as the big hole, groot gat, the big hole.
very
Big
well out
diamond
there.
mine.
And then I also observed some guy but growing really nice bud out of beach sand, which was crazy. So now I've started a little experiment to see how well I can do it. Just a seed that I'm not really too worried about if I mess up. But so far it's showing that it doesn't need any nutrients, which is also very interesting.
That's good.
Yeah.
you
So,
mentioned
yeah.
CBD. I'm kind of curious here. We do have kind of a real problem with the hemp market making CBD into Delta 9 and all these other chemical derivatives. Is that a thing over there, or is that purely?
So what are you asking about the whole research into medical fields for it?
No, the
Well,
Delta 8 is a Delta 9, or they're taking CBD and chemically altering
Converting
it into
No, so
Delta
now
8
what
and
they're
Delta
doing
9.
is there's two guys. I don't know really too much about the whole CBD hemp vibe, but I do know that there are guys. There's one guy in Kimberley that are doing hemp, and they're exporting it to make so to make like clothes and all that kind of stuff. So they aren't really doing it for the whole bud and all that kind of. They're doing it for more point of view of things.
More
Interesting.
materials, less
But yeah, as I said, I'm not
compounds.
too. Yeah. So that's where they're focusing on now, and I think it also might be a loophole for them to actually get it out of the country. But yeah, as I said, is the guys that are exporting and are keeping it very quiet on how they're doing it. Just obviously stay in the lead as long as they can. But yeah, they're doing very well.
And do people there buy CBD products, or do they pretty much stick with THC products?
So now it's starting to become more socially acceptable. So now people are actually experimenting. I mean, you walk into a pharmacy and there'll be CBD products on the shelf. I mean, you can buy like CBD teas and lotions and energy drinks and all that kind of stuff. So so they have got it in our pharmacies. So it's definitely becoming more socially acceptable here compared to how it was 4 years ago, where you got 5 years for a gram.
Or if you happen to be standing near to a butt of a joint that somebody flicked your way when the cops came through.
But did somebody really flick that joint?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's better than
But I mean,
being
I know,
arrested
yeah,
for
I
like
mean-
a flake on your shoe.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who've been done like that when they were like, "Well, no, that's not mine," and they go like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
It's
So now,
you're by it.
I was a latte. Well, I was really supposed to be like 15, 16, and they caught us with a little bank bag of weed coming out of the taxi. And luckily, they didn't decide to do anything hectic, but they made us eat it. So
Dude,
now,
I'm in.
obviously, it didn't do much, but I can tell you now, it made us so sick. Obviously, that taxi ran crap. Yeah, it was great. I think my mate didn't come to school for a week after that because he was vomiting still.
No, it gets very hectic. They gave us 3 ultimatums: either eat it, take us back to our parents, or put us in jail. And we chose eating them.
I'll eat a glass bottle over the other 2 options. Thank you very much.
Exactly. I'll be like, bro, I'll even go buy more right now to eat.
Just don't tell my parents, please, bro.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's insane. So it's definitely taken a good turn, which is awesome. And I mean, like, this is my opinion here, strictly my opinion, but I mean, South Africa's got some of the most fertile soils in the world. So I really think that we can turn the crap that was happening here into actually a lucrative get out of the shit card, if you can call it that, if they just take their fingers out of their arse and actually open up the whole tourism towards it, all that kind of stuff. I mean, look how Amsterdam was, well, is. I mean, they multi billions industry, and South Africa's borrowing money every bloody day from a different country, never paying it back and just selling out the country by the week. If they literally just have to open up that and start making it more of a commercial kind of vibe, then I do feel that it'll get us out of the
Hey, I
red
tell you what,
zone.
it's definitely got the scenery
For sure. I mean, the wild
for a stoner vacation. Come and see the Big Five and watch the sunrise over the African plains. There
And I
is
guess
something to that.
that makes me think about, the wine tours people do in Napa and stuff like that. Could you, like, if I were to come to South Africa for a tour to try all the different land races, how many different land races am I looking at trying, and how many miles am I looking at covering?
Yeah. Well, I've got out of it's 4 that I can think of that are famous, and I've got 3 of them. So there's obviously the Pondo land, which I don't have the pure one of that. I've been there twice and I can never find what strain hunters found. Yeah, they got a big luck there. I don't know where they got that field. But another one is Swaziland. I can't find pure Swazi either. I've got Swazi lineage, where it's got pretty much the same structure and the same terpene profile, but not exactly what I was looking for. So I call it Swazi lineage. Still has the same effect, but not pure. Then obviously I got the Durban poison. The genetics I'm working with now are 40 years old. And out of 200 seeds, I managed to get 5 up. So the diversity wasn't the best of what the genetic diversity, but I only ended up with like 5 or 6 of them that are still busy growing. I want to be doing a preservation run. And then obviously the KwaZulu, which I've got a hell of a lot of those.
There's people in the chat who are interested in what you've got, buddy.
There's a thing now that what's that?
There's
What's that?
There are
It's playing up again.
saying that people in the chat a couple of people in chat are curious as to where they could get hold of some of your KwaZulu seeds.
Well, I don't have a website yet. I have got guys that are working on a website at the moment, but nothing has gone live. I've been doing preservations, obviously getting the seeds locked in and ready. But yeah, I am going to be going locally on my Instagram when the site does go live.
So they can just have a look then and they can order off the website when it does go live. I'm hoping the next month and a half.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely point people at your Instagram, and they can follow you there. And then when you announce that it's available, they can jump on there. And actually, that now brings us up to the hour, which is where we like to keep these things nice to the point. But we will have a little bit of a after show hangout. If you want to stick around for a little bit, anybody in chat who then wants to jump in might have some questions and want to ask in person can jump in, and feel free to chat and ask Ryan some questions. But on that note, quick round table. Magma, where can everybody find you, buddy?
Cheers, thanks for really good listening, and people can find me on Instagram, magmaseeds.com also.
Excellent. Raptor, buddy, where can everybody find you? Chilling outside by the looks of it.
Yeah, in my backyard right now. Right there is my guava tree that we've had for a while. That one's from my great grandfather, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm Raptor Grow. You can find me at Raptor Grow Instagram and on YouTube. Typically, working with couple groups of people here, Operation Grow and the Neighborhood Grow. So look up both of those. Neighborhood Grows is 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Mondays if you want to check us out.
Fantastic. And Lefty, where can we find you, dude?
I'm here, man. Lefty's Farm on Instagram and hanging out with you on Saturday.
Excellent. And DMF?
Usually find me in the kitchen or in the garden, fermenting something or pickling something or brewing something. But or thank you, Pete, for actually finding this guest, and thank you, Ryan, for coming and spending your valuable time with us, especially this late at night.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been great.
As you can tell, we all have kind of a very, how shall I say, salivation-like interest and Pavlov's dog kind of like attention at these kind of topics. So, it's very interesting.
Awesome.
I checked out Ryan's Instagram before the show today, and if anybody's interested in more landrace stuff, he has some amazing pictures of some really cool stuff on there. So if you get a chance, check out Ryan's Instagram too.
Yeah, well said, Lefty.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
But that's basically it for me. Hit me on Instagram too, Genetic Memory Farms, or on the Neighborhood on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Time, the proper time. But yeah, thanks again, Ryan. I really appreciate you letting us pick your brain a little bit.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Fantastic. And Ryan, where can people find you at the moment? I believe it's on Instagram. Is it?
Yes. So I'm mainly obviously I do have Facebook at Love of Landrace, but I'm mostly active on my Instagram. So I don't really do Facebook much, but Instagram I'm active daily. So yeah, at Love of Landrace, give me a follow and you can see all the trips that I have done and my grows that I'm doing and my preservation runs.
Very, very nice. And on that note, you can find me at Peel Grow Systems and at Operation Grow 2019 on Instagram, and catch us here every Saturday, same time, same place. And we'll see everybody next week. And once again, thanks, Ryan. Thank you for stopping by. And hopefully you hang out for a little bit in the after show.
Cool, I definitely will be.
So yeah, everybody who's